Hello everyone, I'm Stefan Marceau. Welcome back to the Nano Cruising Podcast. Today we're talking with someone who has shaped the home-built small pool world more than almost anyone alive. For over 25 years, John Harris has been designing, building, refining, and reimagining small craft in every kind. Kayaks, rowing boats, dinghies, cruisers, and many more. Some of the examples of the beloved designs are the pocket ship, the nesting expedition dinghy, autumn leaves, fairing cruisers, and so many more. As the owner and lead designer of Chesapeake Light Craft, John has helped tens of thousands of people launch their first boat. So grab your coffee, settle in, let's talk boats with the man who has spent his life shaping them. Hi, John. Great for having you here. So you've built not just boat, but a whole life and company around creating them. What do you think first lit that spark for you? When did you realize this passion could become your livelihood?
I'm unusual in that I was like 12 or younger when I was like, I will build boats and design wooden boats and small ones at that. And I was just like a laser from there, man. Just like, that is what I'm going to do. And I'm more surprised than anybody in the world that that is actually what happened. And somehow I have carved out a semblance of a career over the last 31 years.
A semblance. It's a pretty awesome. It would be a dream for a lot of us, but you actually did it.
Living a dream. Careful. Yeah.
Careful.
What it did is it turned into a business, and I spent most of yesterday in Microsoft Excel. So
right,
very romantic.
I can relate to that. So it's what, 25 years, or I think CLC is 36 years or so, and you've been at this.
Yeah, Chesapeake Light Craft. I'm not the founder.
What's the story a little bit? Let's get.
Yeah, quickly. Chris Kulchitsky started Chesapeake Light Craft. He is a writer. He wrote about building kayaks, and people sent letters and said, well, how about plans? And then how about kits? He was working out of his basement, and my first job out of college in 1994 was making kits for Chesapeake Light Craft at a boat shop on Maryland's Eastern Shore. And Chris eventually said, well, why don't we, set up a shop for Chesapeake Light Craft? And, and so we set up a shop in Annapolis. And that was in, May 1st, 1995. We opened, that shop for business. So that is, do the math. It's like 30 and a half years ago. So I've been doing it, 31 years, if that's right. So, I was the first employee, and then, bought the business from Chris, about this time of year, 1999.
Right.
26 years, however you want to round that up.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty great. What do you think kept the vision alive through all the ups and downs? Tell us about some of the years and the ups and downs of building this business.
Yeah. One thing that I had perceived very young, like high school years, was that building wooden boats was a hard way to make a living. I think I picked up on that very, very quickly. And frankly, it terrified me because so many big yards and the kinds of boat shops that Wooden Boat Magazine was writing about this is the early 1980s. It was fairly obvious that there was this feast and famine cycle, and you either had a boat to build that winter or you didn't, or you were scraping for a living, or, you were building something besides boats.
Right.
So I had already visualized the idea of having something that I could produce a mass production, something that where there could be production efficiencies that I could be building something that would support my otherwise unaffordable, unsupportable fascination with small wooden boats.
Right.
And lo and behold, that's what I realized was happening when I was cutting all those kits for Chesapeake Lightcraft back in 1994. I was working at this independent traditional boat building shop, and it was starvation time, and but that one corner of the shop where I was cutting kayak kits as fast as I possibly could was carrying that whole business, really. And and I thought, this is interesting. There's almost enough here that I could, build myself a sailing canoe on the side somewhere,
Right. Right.
And that can lose money all day, but like, hey, at least I got to do it, So, Chesapeake Lightcraft had some tremendous luck with the timing. Sea kayaks were like, in the 1990s, were like mountain bikes in the 1980s. Wilderness Systems, the big company, making rotomolded kayaks, among other things, was running 3 shifts a day, at one point in the 1990s, making kayaks. So we shipped thousands and thousands of kayaks, and Chesapeake Lightcraft, I think really right from that time we had that shop, had a volume model. It was one thing that Chris Kulchitsky and I agreed on very much, was that we ought to run it like a business, and that a volume model would provide us with the ability to do interesting things. And it was really sort of the thought of that going away when Chris sold the business that made me like kind of get myself together and, as an adult and like do some adulting and say, hey, if Chris sells the business, I'm probably going to lose my job.
Right.
Because that's what happened. I was the general manager, so they're going to put their own job. And I was building a pro up right then, and I was like, oh man, I don't even know where I'm going to put this project if I don't have a job here anymore. So I ought to do something. So I found investors and bought the company, and certainly, going just kind of a direct line from age 16 to then, it was. Now I had a factory that had a steady production line, and there was enough of a surplus, just barely, for me to have some fun with these small boats that you and your followers and me really get a kick out of. Right. So the kinds of things that, perish the thought, frankly, don't make much money for anybody, but it's the kind of thing that animates me, and it's why I get up and work my spreadsheets to keep this ship afloat. So just give me another year. I've got some other small boats that I want to try. So
yeah, it's true. We're definitely a bunch of, I don't know what you say, a fringe. It's definitely a fringe, the small boat movement and so on. Although with the internet, people are connecting more together, but definitely was as a fringe.
Yeah, I would add lunatic.
Lunatics to that, right? Sure.
Yeah, right. And I mean that in the best possible way. One of my back when I had investors, he remarked, I don't understand your business. It's a niche that's about an inch wide and a mile deep. I thought that pretty much, that sums up, your world and my world.
Right.
And I do think we inhabit exactly the same interest in really doing interesting things in really small home built boats. And that's what I get up in the morning to do. I only get to do it like one day a year, but still, there's always hope.
Is that still how, I don't want to get too much into business, is that how still the business is the kayaks and then the rest is your fun time, I guess, with the
it's been 31 years, and
Yeah.
so fads have come and fads have gone. Sea
Right.
kayaks peaked in around 2000.
Right.
Maybe unfairly. I love kayaks. I mean,
Yeah, I like them too.
what's more awesome than like a 45-pound boat that you can put on your car by yourself, but you can put 100 pounds of gear in it and you could go out for 3 weeks. I mean, there's not much that can do that. So that's pretty awesome. But, whenever there's a market fad, I don't care what industry it is, then everyone piles in to make money while they can. So sea kayaks were overproduced. It's not as hard as say windsurfing, but there's definitely a learning curve to a good sea kayak, as opposed to like a recreational sea kayak. I think that the industry ran out of people willing to make the commitment, to become a good paddler. And so I was disappointed, that sea kayaks, what I call long boats. So these are like the 17-foot long by 22-inch boats that I really love. Those went into a long decline, that I maybe it's bottomed by now. I don't know exactly, but, and I was sad, not only, because I loved seeing people getting into boats like that, but I was also sad because they were immensely profitable. I mean, just be honest here.
Right.
I mean, like our most popular kayak in 1998 or whatever, cost about, just under $700. There was, I think I added this up a few years ago. It was like less than a single cubic foot of wood. Kayaks are mostly air, very thin plywood and air,
Right.
And then, with epoxy and fiberglass, it cost us, about $288 to manufacture. Those were gentle, innocent times. And so, so it built that company.
Right. Right.
And so,
Yeah.
by the time I bought it, Chesapeake Lightcraft had a bunch of employees, and, we had a CNC machine running all the time. And now it's almost 2026. And that's pretty much still true. We've had some body blows along the way, bunch of recessions,
Right.
Changing fashions. What did we do after kayaks? We better figure this out quick. We've had boom and bust cycles with everything, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's still extremely difficult, to make a living this way. It's a challenge. I enjoy the challenge, some of the time. Some of the time, I'm like, man, I wish I worked, for the school district and had a pension. So, like, grass is always greener, man.
There's the reality of,
careful what you wish for, and living the dream.
Right. But you felt, thousands of people realize their boat dreams. So tell me a little bit about the magic of kit boat building and what keeps people hooked and dreams that have been realized.
Well, another epiphany I had really early on, around the time that I became associated with Chesapeake Lightcraft, was that you can divide up the non-professional boat builders, into classes. There, you have your advanced builders, of course. I mean, they may be, building pianos by day, but they build themselves a Herreshoff 12.5 at night. You can't market to those people. They don't need me.
Right.
They can go build whatever they want.
Right.
And then under them, you have what I call the intermediate boat builders. And these are skilled amateurs. These are the folks that are building for fun again, Ian Autry's boats, or Doug Hyland, or my friend John Brooks, that kind of thing. These are boats that require joinery. You're going to have to build a mold, probably. You're going to laminate. You're going to need sharp planes, and you're going to be cutting rolling bevels and all that. So intermediate boat builders, there's a lot of them. And Wooden Boat Magazine, I think, is kind of their standard bearer. That's the kind of boats that editorial staff likes to see being built. So that's what you see in that magazine.
All the time. Yeah,
and right. And I think and what's great is, that also is like, that becomes aspirational for the beginners. And then there's a third group, and these are my people. These are the rank beginners.
That's us, definitely.
So the intermediate builders, like, it's hard to market to them too, because they also have, like, it may take them a little bit longer. They can build whatever they want, because they're patient, and, they're reading plans instead of reading an assembly manual, that kind of thing. So it's difficult to get them interested. Thank heavens, lots of them build our boats too. Sometimes for sale, sometimes, we call them serial builders. They've built 8, 9, 10 of our boats, something like that. But again, you really can't hang an ongoing business on that small slice of the pie, and it's pretty small. Mm. On the other hand, there are billions with a B of people who have never built a boat. That's a big market, and I can do something about that.
Right.
And what I can do is try to make your first boat building project as accessible as possible. Right. I need you to have a good time so that you tell your friends you had a good time, and they build boats too. I need you to get through the project, because if you aren't showing up at launch ramps with that boat, you're not doing kind of critical advertising for me. So I need you to finish it, which means I need to make the project achievable, in all kinds of different ways. And finally, I need your boat to look nice, right? You've been around, you and I read the same books, same magazines. Like, in the 1970s and 1980s, the boats that were marketed to the first timer looked like a first timer's boat. All right. I mean, They were boxy. They had hard chines. They had, dimensional lumber, structures. I built it myself, and it looks like it. And I'm not knocking that. I mean, I still believe that pretty much the best small boats of the last 100 years came from Phil Bolger. So,
right. I agree.
And I could spend the rest of this podcast, making my case, but I'm not. I do say that, like, technology, the CAD CAM stuff, has made it possible for the first timer to build a boat that does not look like it was built by a first timer. So, we have this big fleet of lap strake boats, and you can be standing 8 feet away from one and not perceive that it was a stitch and glue boat. They don't look like they're stitch and glue. And, when folks do a nice finish on those, man, it's it was a first timer boat that doesn't look like it. So that's super important. And so I need you to do your sanding. Please keep sanding. Just another day of sanding. Get some earbuds, and listen to audiobooks. The Patrick O'Brien books are great on audiobook. There's 20 of them, and just keep sanding.
Yeah, that's the part everybody hates.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've created everything from rowing craft, expedition, capable sailboats. What makes a design capable in your eyes?
Well, we'll talk about the sail and oar boats, in our catalog.
Right.
I designed most of those, and I love them, like my children. The first thing for me is that it has to sail well. Right. That is paramount. I have no interest in stodgy sailboats, boats that don't sail upwind well, boats that, someone who came up in racing dinghies would say, oh, this is a dull little thing.
Mhm.
So I came up in racing dinghies, raced, a lot. I was on the sailing team in college, and that's my standard. And they have to sail well. So that's absolutely number one. I don't think it's worth your time to build a boat if it doesn't sail well. So,
Right.
and I get super disappointed, when I see boats out there that just could have done better. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
so that's one thing. And we've talked about the need for it to be buildable so that it actually happens.
Right.
There's an awful lot of unfinished boat building projects out there,
Yes.
cluttering garages, disappointing their owners every time they have to squeeze by it in the garage and say, man, I wish I could finish this thing. I just don't have time, and it takes so much. I've got all this other stuff to do. So, some of the biggest failures we've had in terms of new designs has been boats that took too long to build.
Right.
The people got bored. They didn't get finished. The boats didn't get seen out on the water. No critical mass in the marketplace. We just blew $100,000 on developing a boat that nobody's going to buy. So I have to think about that a lot. And along with that comes a lot of simplification. And I learned this from Phil Bolger, but when I bring a boat like that to our catalog, the discipline that especially Phil Bolger taught me was to question every single feature of the boat. Why is it here? Does it need to be here? Is it just here because it looks right? No, you'll find nothing like that in any boat I designed. Like, I'll never put something there just because it looks good. It's got to have a function. Every curve. Why do boats have a shear line, a pretty shear line? Well, it's because you need the bow to be high enough to get over waves, but you need a midships to be low enough for the oar locks, so the oars reach the water. So, boom, a nice looking shear line. It's there for a reason. That goes for every single other feature. So, I'm militant about that. Now, so the upside is you get these super functional boats that are pretty popular, and we have sold about 45,000.
Wow.
Yay us. The downside is that I think that the CLC sail and oar boats tend to be kind of Spartan in their outfitting. A huge amount of that is just trying to keep price under control. It's trying to keep the boat simple enough that it's fairly easy to build and a quick build. That again mostly.
Right.
Like I was talking to somebody else just this weekend. They're like, why isn't there a penguin kit? A penguin is a pretty well-known one design dinghy here. And I'm like, yeah, that's easy. It's because its rig, its mast, boom, sails, and hardware are like $3,000. That's before you even touch building the hull.
Right.
So like, you can get a beautiful race-ready used penguin for $3,000, and you don't have to build it. Whereas like my kit is going to be $8,000. So anyway, so that's what makes it work. Is that I have to be fairly ruthless and kind of leaving features ashore. I've gotten better at making sure that if you want to add all that functionality, all of these functional items, let's talk about things about like spacered end whales or scuppered end whales, right? I love how they look. They're functional. It gives you something to tie stuff to. They really, they really dress up a boat. So, the proverbial rim of the pot.
Right.
And those are pretty actually not that easy to put in. I mean, you got 4 tough compound bevels, to do, and it's a lot of clamps and a lot of screwing around. So, we sell that as an option. You can add that on. And like, I remember you'd be like, why don't your boats have that? I'm like, I'll tell you why. I just had to write like a 30-page assembly manual addendum for putting spacer end whales in your boat. That's why. Yeah. So that's an example. One of the things that I think, is we're kind of missing is the boats where you can lay down and sleep in.
Right.
the CLC sail and oar line is comprised largely of boats that have a centerboard and a thwart in the middle of them. And that's just basically because most people are not sleeping on their boats. So
right.
You've seen the sort of oddball side projects that I do where they have that kind of functionality, but they keep kind of proving the rule. I think you and I were talking about that little 10 and a half foot camp that I did, the nesting expedition dinghy. And I was just in the last couple of days, I was thinking about it, and I went into the database and looked, and it is the least successful design that I have ever offered to the public.
Right.
It's like, it is I have sold fewer of those than anything I have ever marketed before. And that's A-okay, because that was a project for me.
Right.
And kind of proves the rule.
And you've kind of set that up. Some designs, though, you've done like that. Like, we'll take the pocket ship. You kind of did it for you. And I think you got surprised at the loyal fan base that you have behind that. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
That boat, because that was, I think, when you built it, you were thinking, this is just for me. I want a small boat I can sleep on.
Yeah, I actually paid for that one. Jeff Kerr built it for me, and I paid for that out of my pocket. Pocket ship is a 15-foot pocket cruiser. It's big. Length is not size. It's a high volume boat. When you're sitting in it, it feels like it's about 20 feet long. I had a really, really nice fiberglass trailer sailor in that size class. And there was a bunch of things I liked about that boat, and a bunch of things that I hated. And I decided that I was done with boats and marinas, and I wanted to keep a boat on a trailer. So I do that for myself, and as is typical, number one goal was that it sails well. It must be delightful, not just get around, but be delightful to sail to someone who's a sailing nerd. So it did that, and it is roomy for its size. So it's ergonomic. I think there's like 17 comfortable places to sit. The pocket ship is like one of the few boats I'm comfortable of just outright being proud of. I mean, it's it's like one of the ones I don't think I could change a thing. Or if I did, it would not be as good a boat,
right.
In other ways. So, it's a commitment to build. Its success, is largely the result of, my decision to create an elaborate assembly manual for it. It's like 280 pages of a spiral bound shop manual with a photograph of every step. That was a big investment at the time, and it came about because of the kind of public interest in pocket ship as I was building it and putting it out. There never was a business plan that said, now let's do a pocket cruiser and with a big manual. It was more just kind of responding to people's interest. And I think it's still kind of the only boat like it that has that level of documentation. So I have seen a lot of first-time boat builders take that on. We'll make it to the finish line. And that's great.
There's many blogs that document that. It's great.
Yeah, I can remember the moment when I had to stop finding blogs because I could spend 11 hours a day just reviewing blogs. But it's extremely flattering. It's extremely helpful if you're one of the people who decides to build one of those. You can actually go out and get all of this additional input on technical challenges and everything else. So that was it's the boat that I've owned the longest personally, and again, it just sort of stands ready. I can just hitch it up and go. It's got a cover, so in the way my life works,
to launch too, right? So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's very quick. Yeah, I can be underway in about 15 minutes. And it's also, and this is, I think, crucial. It's the fact that it can be put to bed, and it has in its lifetime have had stretches of 8 months, 10 months where it didn't come out from under the cover. And the great thing is that I wasn't stressing out about it. As I speak, I've got a 33-foot cruising sailboat in a marina about 7 minutes from here that I have barely used. And I'm always in a state of anxiety. I need to go check the mooring lines. I need to go run the engine. I need to, give it a bath. It's got a broken jib halyard right now. So, I don't ever have to worry about these little boats. The fact that they can be put to bed while life happens is, I think, really the crucial feature of our tiny boats. And why it maybe is, there's some growth right now, I think, in little trailable boats. So, Pocket Ship is great. I think, the thing I'm most proud of is just the fact that it sails like a riot. And, I really should go back and do some math because it's kind of like faster than its waterline suggests.
Right.
We actually, a couple of summers, we raced it in the local, PHRF fleet. We were lumped in with like 35-foot boats. And like, if we were on the same leg of the course as the bigger boats, we were beating them on corrected time. I think if we'd kept doing it, they would have protested our rating. So that's great. I mean,
yeah,
to
absolutely.
me, that means that if the rare occasion when I get to go cruising in it, I can cover some ground. It goes upwind really well. And that's so important, that you can undertake a little cruise and get someplace and not be frustrated or get beaten back by conditions or as I think is the near universal reality, in 2026, crank the engine. Most of these small boats are motor sailors now.
Right.
I don't mean to be negative. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
That these boats, people are just reflexively, pulling the starter cord or increasingly, flipping the switch on their electric, motor. So.
Right.
It's something that's kind of creeping into my design philosophy these days. Yeah,
the Pocket Ship is I think you nailed it. It's the ultimate trailer sailor. Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's the one you look at, you dream of, you see it in your garage and so on. But I went a different route. And
it was supposed to go to sail from Bahamas, from Florida to the Bahamas. That was the design brief. I've never done it. I did it once on a 44-foot boat.
Right. Has anybody done some wild trips on it?
Not wild, and I'm glad.
I
run a business. I have liability insurance. Especially when it first came out. Good God, I spent years talking people out of sailing it across the Atlantic or whatever. And I guess the fact that it was a reasonably accessible project brought in a lot of folks who were like, well, I can't find the transatlantic, 15-footer, but here's one, and it's like, no, like worse boats have made it, but this is not a recommendation, right?
Right, right. Well, that's the end of episode 1 with John. We have more in our next episode. Thank you for listening. We would not be here without you, so thank you so much. If you want to help the show, please keep spreading the word. That is really appreciated. Thank you. If you'd like to stay connected, you can join our mailing list. That's where I send out new episodes, updates, and the occasional bonus resource. We also have a lively nano cruising Facebook group, full of friendly dinghy cruisers and trailer sailors from all over. It's a great place to share ideas, get advice, meet new people who love small boat adventures as much as you do. And for those who want to support the show a little further, totally optional, we do have a Patreon page. Shout out to Gary, who became a new member recently. There's also some swag, and I've received some pictures of people wearing swag, so I really appreciate that. Keep sending them in and I'll post them. Until next time, get out there, explore, and as always, seize your own adventure.